Many thanks for staying with us here on Newsers. Now let's talk about the excise tax stamp policy. And as you are well aware, it was not introduced yesterday, March 7, as initially planned. Now, this is because government wants to first address all stakeholder concerns. Government now wants to engage more stakeholders from Thursday, March 10, before implementing the initiative. Let's get a better understanding of this policy and its implications for businesses with Joy Business editor Emmanuel Ejay, who is now joining me in studio with a lot more on this particular. So, Emma, many thanks for joining us. That's the first thing. Now, I want to find out what really this policy entails.
Okay, so as the name suggests, excise tax stamp. So essentially, it's a tax stamp, and it's actually it's going to be used for products that attract excise duty. And you know, these are products that, for very good reasons, we want to discourage the use because of health implications, among others. So you're looking at products like tobacco, okay, and then you're also looking at alcoholic beverages, and then you're also even looking at carbonated beverages because of, you know, the content and all that. So it's a way of discouraging their use because of the implications. So what it means is that you're going to now have these tax stamps affixed on these products, you know, just as a measure of monitoring tax compliance. That's by government. Now, this is how it's going to happen. You know, a number of the companies that are manufacturing or even importing these products, government it's unable to actually ascertain exactly how much or how many of the products come in or how many products are produced within a specific period of time. So it is up to the companies, the manufacturers, to tell government that, okay, well, we are paying this amount of tax because we produce this. Now, what's going to change is that you're going to now have government, because if the tax stamp is not affixed on the product, then it's supposed to be illegal on the market. So when you come in for the tax stamp, then government is going to now be able to have a fair idea, because you're going to buy it from the GRA, that's the Ghana Revenue Authority, and then affix them on your product. So before the GRA even, you know, comes to say, I mean, take your tax and all that, it knows, or it has a fair idea
how much
that, okay, so you
pay.
came in for, let's say, 100 pieces or 1,000 pieces of the tax stamp. So based on the category of industry you are in, you're supposed to pay this amount of tax and all that as far as excise is concerned. So essentially, that's what this whole policy is about.
Okay, it was supposed to take off yesterday.
Exactly.
It didn't. Any reasons?
Well, I mean, basically because, like you indicated, government wants to engage stakeholders more. You know, stakeholders have been agitating against this, and we are talking about manufacturers of these products as well as importers of these products. Now, if you would recall that the traders embarked on this strike, that was sometime last week, the 3-day strike. Now, this was one of the major reasons, aside the ECOWAS common external tariffs and all that. They think that this initiative is actually, it doesn't also augur well for their businesses, because as far as they are concerned, it's only going to add on to their cost, because they are actually making reference to the fact that, okay, so we would have to acquire the stamp. At whose cost? Because you would have to acquire it at a cost. So they would have to bear that cost. That's number one. Now, when you are importing, for instance, you import the product, and all these products would have to be offloaded at the ports, and then, you know, have these tax stamps affixed on them before you can have them on the market. It's not like the manufacturers, I mean, the local manufacturers, who can actually just go and then, you know, buy the stamps and affix them whilst producing. I mean, for importers, you would have to do them here. But government has been explaining that, well, there are options, or there are leeways for, I mean, such eventualities or such development. Should it happen that, you know, if you are a manufacturer, obviously it's easier, but for an importer, you have the option of even buying the stamps here and sending it to your manufacturer outside, so that they do it even, I mean, they have fixed the stamps even before it comes down here. So once it comes down and you have the stamps on, then you can clear. But then the importers are also arguing that, look, a number of them do not even import on large scale, unlike companies that would produce, and for economics of scale, they can actually have large quantities coming in. It's not the case with them. So it would be very difficult to convince your manufacturers that, well, because of what's happening in our country, you would have to do this for me and all that. So that's been the argument and all that. But essentially, it's about stakeholder engagement. That's why government has decided to go this way, to ensure that at least all these issues are addressed, because government doesn't want to introduce this and it would be seen as rather unfriendly policy. I mean, government actually thinks that there are some benefits that the whole economy can actually or stand to gain as far as this policy is concerned. And like we mentioned, it's about monitoring. And so once there's tax compliance, obviously government is expecting that it would go a long way to boost revenues. That's one. And then also the issue of counterfeiting of products, I mean, which has been a major issue for both local companies here as well as even, you know, those importing, and all that.
So as things stand now, do we know when exactly this policy is to come into fruition?
Not exactly, because government is yet to engage the stakeholders. I mean, it's starting this Thursday, and well, our sources indicate that until the stakeholder engagement is done, they will not be able to tell, but it's more likely to be introduced next month. You know, sometime next month.
Moloje, many thanks for your time. But let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to John Awuni. He's joining us live now, and I'm sure you do remember that last week. This particular issue, like Emmanuel mentioned a while ago, was one of the major reasons why Guta actually embarked on that strike. Quite a number of people decided to close down their shops because of this issue and a few others. But let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to spokesperson for the group, John Awuni, who's joining us on phone now. Mr. Awuni, good morning. Many thanks for your time, sir.
Good morning. And good morning to your listeners, viewers.
Right, many thanks. Now, the first thing I want to find out is what the concerns of your members are, really.
The concern is that the excise tax stamp is just anti-business. It's a punitive measure, and it will do great harm to the business environment, imports into the country.
Just a second. Did you actually describe it as a punitive measure?
It's a punitive measure.
That you think government is trying to punish traders in the country?
That is the outlook of that policy. That is the outlook of that policy. Now, if you could just allow, I will describe it.
Sure, please do.
Both, if you do deal with import, first of all, you either have to buy the excise, the tax stamp, and send it to your suppliers abroad to affix it on your product before they come into the country, which just not gonna work because you cannot modify the production process of the factory because of the minute imports that Ghana does in terms of global import. So what mostly business importers will do is sort of start to fixing it locally. Now, if you come to the issue of fixing it locally, what it means is that after you have bought the tax stamp, and then you bring in your goods and clear the goods. The goods are not going to move into your warehouse. They are now going to move into the excise tax stamp warehouses. They will offload the whole contents of the container. So assuming it was mineral water. So they offload the whole contents of the mineral water from the container, empty the boxes, take the units out of the boxes, and fix the stamp and pack them back into the boxes and load them back into the container. Now, we are not dealing with only one importer. Can you imagine the entire country, the level of import? How long will it take you to even upload one container and then go through all those processes?
But if it's for proper accountability, is it not worth it?
Listen, for a country, this cannot be the panacea to whatever benefits that the pushers of this tax stamp are doing. We have customs, excise, and preventive service. The preventive service will do post-market clearance. We have Food and Drug Authority who will do post-market clearance. We have various regulatory authorities who over the years have been mandated not only to regulate products coming in, but to regulate products also after they have moved into the market, to find out those products that are counterfeit, those products that have been smuggled into the country, and all things. Excise tax stamp cannot be the answer to smuggling into this country. It cannot be an answer to the issue of counterfeiting.
Okay, so Mr. Awuni, just a second. Mr. Awuni, just a second. So you speak of the rigorous process you need to go through before your product is approved. And you still think that this process is not good enough to withstand counterfeiting?
Listen, how does it withstand counterfeiting? Because at the end of the day, assume the businesses comply at the port. What will they do? Will they still not have to go into the market to find out? So the resources they will use to go into the market to find out, why don't they even just make maximum use of that currently without adding the transaction cost to the businesses? We are looking at imports right now at the common external tariff system. They have moved most of the imported product cost to about the tariff rate to about 35%. Cumulative tax imports for maybe biscuit, for maybe water, for maybe mineral water, for whatever, is about 60% now. So you are talking about, just to start with, you are dealing with an overhead cost of 60%, minus your loading and your transaction cost, minus your storage, minus warehousing, minus insurance, minus your and all other costs. So at the end of the day, you are going to be dealing with an overhead cost of about 100%. Then you now come and talk about excise tax stamps, also add on to the transaction cost of doing businesses, which is just go check at the port. We are dealing with a competitive environment. And so Ghana is bounded by many other countries. If you decide to make things cumbersome at your port, people will choose other ports and then move their goods in. So what it means is that you will lose transit business. What it means is that the revenue that you are putting to achieve, you will end up losing that revenue. People will move into other countries and then move into the country through the borders.
Is that an option your members are considering as we speak?
Listen, that is whatever. Once the music changes, people will also change their way of dancing.
So I'm asking, is that an option that your members are considering?
It has already happened. Check at the port. Business at the port has dropped over 30%. Tell me what has happened. It's a fact. Business at the port has dropped by 30%. Transit business has dropped. Go find out what the reasons are. And so clearly, as a country where we are battling with shrinking capitals, where we are battling with high levels of unemployment, you should not go in for any policy that will stifle the private business. You should not go in for any policy that will exacerbate the problem of unemployment in the country. We are looking forward to private businesses doing well and then provide the necessary environment for employment in the country. You can't continue sending out graduates into the system, yet they don't have any job, and yet you are coming out with policies that will stifle the environment where the business, the employment is supposed to be created. That is absolutely unacceptable. Let's look at it from the interest of this country, the benefit of this country, rather than selfish means. If people fail to do their job, they should not push it to the consumer. If people fail to do their job, they should not push it to the taxpayer. It is absolutely wrong. There are systems already in place to ensure whatever they are seeking to achieve. Their failures cannot be a cost to the Ghanaian.
Mr. Awuni, let me find out from you. I mean, we all know that government has put a hold to this particular policy as we speak now in order to engage with people like yourselves and your members as well. I mean, should that not suffice? Should that not be enough to suggest that, well, indeed, government has heard your cry and is willing to negotiate on some of the terms?
It's not as if the businesses have not been engaged once before. I remember the presentation was done to the businesses at Labadi Beach, and then the concerns or the voice were in unison, clearly that this shouldn't just be nipped in the bud. It should never come into fruition. The businesses were very, very clear that it should never be implemented, whether for imports or domestic. The domestic people, if you take Accra breweries or you take any of the breweries or any of the local producers, what it means is that they are going to buy new plants and install to their production lines in order to be able to apply this policy. Why should you add such a huge transaction cost? Not less than $1 million, many people will have to add to their businesses in order to be able to just achieve this? Tell me, let somebody come out and tell us, this is the amount of money that the country intends to benefit as compared to the cost, that is the transaction cost you are adding to the businesses. Honestly, in the interest of Ghana, nobody should allow this thing to see the daylight.
Should it still see the daylight despite all your protests? What is to happen next?
Well, the businesses are still on strike, as I said, because it's not only the excise tax stamp that they went on strike for. They went on strike asking that the ECOWAS external tariff system should be really looked at, where old goods are supposed to be ex-warehouse at new tariff rates. Those goods was in storage have already lost a lot of value, and so they should really look at it and let those old goods be ex-warehouse at the new tariff rate. The 3%, the 2% special tax should be really looked at and removed. The VAT 3% that they have moved people to 17.5%, particularly the small scale retail, the retailers should really look at and let them remain on the 3%. And then a host of issues that have been tabled to government. And I believe that once they have taken this move to suspend the excise tax stamp, they should look at all this. It is not somebody winning and another losing. It is Mother Ghana that must win in this situation. And we are saying that the private sector is crying for breath. Let the necessary air be given to the private sector, and they will breathe well, and the issue of unemployment will be tackled and resolved in the long term.
Mr. Awuni, many thanks for your time here on News Desk. And John,
my pleasure. Thank
John
you.
Awuni is the spokesperson for the Joint Private Sector Consultative Forum on the excise tax stamp. He's been speaking to us on the issue at hand, and quite a number of concerns his members seem to have there. But meanwhile, Senior Budget Officer at the Tax Policy Unit of the Finance Ministry, Julian Harry Thompson, has allayed concerns that the excise tax stamp policy would increase the cost of operations of manufacturers and importers.
The tax stamp, we don't want to give it out for free. Obviously, I've given you a number of characters we have in there that makes it not free.
How costly?
It's not too expensive. I can tell you that for a roll, which comes like in 10,000 pieces, it goes for like, I think, 140 Ghana cedis. 10,000 pieces of a roll, it comes like one. And we are still talking to the minister, because the section 6 of the Act says that the minister can subsidize, the stamp cost. So we are still working together with the minister. And the minister may decide to give us a 50-50 agreement. That is what we told the industry players anyway. We reduce it by half.
So government takes care of it.
So government is still going to bear the burden of 50% of the stamp. This shows how dear the policy is to us as government. Because if this thing works, we know what we are going to get.
Okay.
And we know how it's going to be very good for the industry players as well. Their products are going to be at least safe for them. They also stand a chance of recognizing or realizing some revenue at the long run. It shouldn't be a short-term measure, but it's a very long-term measure that will bring on board so many good things for the both parties.
And that was Senior Budget Officer of the Tax Policy Unit of the Finance Ministry, Julian Harry Thompson, there, speaking to the Joy Business crew. Still watching News Desk here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you business.